The Crypto.com performance bonus winner of the night, Isaiah. Two other bonuses were Darren Gottfried and Wes Mina. They all won $10,000 in crypto from Crypto.com. Congrats to them. Who's got the first question?
Dana, first of all, just give us your reaction to the main card. Obviously, you had a couple of draws there. I'm sure that wasn't what you were after.
You know I love that shit.
Yeah.
One of the things that we got to fix, the crowd started chanting one more round. I don't disagree. Right. But it's something that we'd have to get, we talked about it backstage, and we'd have to get the regs changed for that.
So is that a
Tough does it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In the Ultimate Fighter, if you don't win the fight, we go to an extra round. Nobody wants to see a draw, and nobody definitely wants to see two of them.
Yeah.
The worst thing than a draw is two draws.
I would imagine in this sport specifically, not even MMA, but this sport, a draw even makes less sense, right? Because there is just a simple way to fix it, just one more slap. I'm sure that's something you can change. Is that just a commission issue, or is that something you have to look at internally?
That's a commission. We'd have to get it fixed. I mean, we would have to change the regs.
Did you see the main event as a draw, or did you think there was a clear winner, or how did you view the main event?
I think that we all had it different. I think all of us had it different. Yeah. I had it different than Frank had it. And I don't know how Hunter had it, and I don't know how anybody else had it, but how'd you have it? You're a slap professional. Come on.
Yeah, I think a draw is right.
Yeah? Very diplomatic of you. He's got a slap news site. He doesn't want to pick a winner.
He knows already. He doesn't want to pick a winner and get the loser angry at him.
Mm-hmm.
Do you look at that, though, the fact that people can score it differently as proof to the doubters that, hey, this sport has variety in it, right? If we're all scoring it differently, that means it's not as simple as just a slap across the face and you can only view it one way, right?
What's the question?
So if the fact that all of us are scoring it differently, that means in Power Slap there are different ways to win, and it's not just as simple as one guy slaps another guy.
100%. Well, I think, the criticism it took in the beginning was, lots of different. First of all, only the knockouts are anything anybody's interested in. Actually taking the slap, the kid who fought tonight, what's that thing up to, Frank? 1.4 billion views? Yeah, his last slap is at 1.4 billion views. So it's more than just knockouts or whatever. It's just everything with this thing goes viral. It's crazy. I mean, we just posted one on mine a little while ago. It's at 1.4 million views already. This shit just goes crazy.
Well, speaking of numbers, actually, I was going to wait for a little while, but PFL guy Donn Davis brought up numbers.
That guy's hilarious.
He said that his event last Saturday with Francis Ngannou beat any event with the numbers, beat any event the UFC had put on this year. I'm curious if you could disagree with that, and how does it even compare to Power Slap, the PFL numbers?
Yeah. First of all, the PFL should keep the UFC out of their mouth. They can't even deal with Power Slap. Power Slap destroys PFL. All right. It's weird that you asked me that question because I just happen to have some papers here. So. First of all, let's start with followers. Power Slap has 19.2 million followers. The PFL has 10. Video views. PFL Fight Week did 326 million. Power Slap 8 did 690 million. Okay? PFL Fight Week Instagram views, 76 million. Power Slap 9, the week of. This is, so if you look at PFL, the fight week and the aftermath, these guys had 76. Just the week of, they had 68 million on Power Slap, okay? And we haven't even had a fight yet. PFL's Instagram reel with Francis and Ronaldo did 14 million views. Power Slap's 9 Instagram reel with contender Isaiah had 22 million views. And that was a repost of an old fight. The repost of the old fight beat Francis and Ronaldo. I can keep going on for a fucking month here. And then if you want to get into what he said about the UFC, I have a laundry list here. But let me just start with this. UFC Vegas 84 at the Apex beat them. So Listen, I understand, and I love the stuff that he said. He sounds like Kamala. Talks a lot, but says nothing. And I would hate to be one of that guy's investors. I don't watch MMA. I've worked 7 years and haven't taken a vacation. You should probably take a vacation. You're out of your fucking mind, dude. You should probably take a vacation.
Well, I was going to say,
I have a list here. I will have Lene get you guys this list of all these numbers, but that guy shouldn't even mention the UFC. He's not even in power slaps. And then he was talking about, there's all kinds of combination packages and how all this works. He doesn't beat power slap in revenue. He doesn't beat power slap in ticket sales. He doesn't beat power slap in sponsorship. He doesn't beat power slap in anything, let alone the UFC.
So curious, just based on that, if I were to ask you what's your favorite MMA fight of all time, would you have an answer for me?
If you asked me what was...
If you have a favorite MMA fight of all time, would you have an answer for me?
Yeah, I mean, that's tough to do. I mean, coming off 300, every time people ask me stuff now, I think of Holloway and Gaethje coming off 300. But yeah, there's a ton that I could tell you.
Okay.
It's obvious this guy isn't an MMA fan, and he's acting like he's some fucking great businessman. He does not sound like a guy that I would want to invest my money with. But good luck to his investors.
And last one from me. Obviously, some people don't read into this. I like to read into this. You were there at the face-offs today with Max and Ilya, Hamza and Rob. You were at the press conference. Did you get to pick up on any vibes for this fight week, and how they're all feeling, how they're all looking?
I think I feel the way that you feel and all the fans feel. Both the co-main and main event are a coin toss for what could be fight of the year. And the main event, I mean, it's impossible for that fight not to be absolutely incredible for as long as it goes. Hamza and Whitaker, I don't know. They both got the wrestling, the striking, and I don't know. That's a fascinating fight. I can't. In those two divisions, you can't make two better fights than those right now. I mean, they're literally incredible fights.
Hey, Dana.
Yep.
Coming overseas, incredibly hard on your team. We had some fights that didn't fall through for this, but give me your overall opinion on the card from start to bottom.
Yeah, listen, I love this card coming into it. The thing about power slap and traveling and, it's all a work in progress. Like tonight, we get 2 draws on the main card, Didn't see that coming. Now we got to figure out how you fix that, and that doesn't happen again. And I love the fact that the crowd wanted to see one more round. So while it sucks to have it, it's all positive. It's all good stuff.
Absolutely. We've seen you live stream the early prelim fight. Is that something that we could see more of going forward?
I don't know. I was just in the mood to do it, and it ended up being great, so it worked out.
I mean, Darren Godfrey started out with incredible KO to start the night. You really can't ask for a better way to start it. Was that who you were referring to with the 1.4 million or billion views?
What's the question?
Darren Godfrey, the first fight.
Yeah.
Was that the video that you were referring to, the knockout?
Yeah. No, it's who? Yeah.
Gotcha. Darren Godfrey was from season 3 of Road to the Title, as well as James
what's the other?
Seekman.
We got that one that's 1.4, and what's the other one? There's 2 that are in the billions. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, again, if you guys want those, I'll have. There's some of the numbers in here, but some of the numbers on Power Slap are ridiculous. What's the total views now? Is it 9 billion? Yeah, it's over 9 billion views. This thing's 18 months old. Go ahead. What's your next question?
Isaiah Quiones defeats John Davis, who is the longest reigning champion. Do you think that's great for Power Slap? The Puerto Rican pretty boy.
What's the question?
Oh, just sorry. Do you think Isaiah is going to be a great ambassador for the middleweight division?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. That's what I told the guys that we were sitting with tonight from Abu Dhabi. Guy's the longest reigning champ, been in it since we started this thing, and it was a huge upset and a big win for him.
What's next for the Crazy Hawaiian and Dumpling? Do we see that immediate rematch?
Don't be the MMA guys. This thing just ended. I have no idea. Okay? You are fitting right in here, my brother. I have no clue.
All right, Power Slap 10, they announced 3 title fights for December 6th. How excited are you for that card?
Yeah, listen, every time this is the first time we've been out of Vegas. I love the new vibe that we have at Fontainebleau. The last event was absolutely insane. It's fun, and yeah, I'm excited for it.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey Dana,
Yep.
Yusuf here. I would like to ask about flinching, the rule to get 1 point deducted, and the athlete needs to slap you again. Don't you see that's a tough punishment for flinching?
Flinching the rule, the athlete gets a point deducted, and then he gets to slap again. Don't you think that it's a tough punishment for flinching?
Instead of a warning.
Hey, listen, if you don't flinch, right, and the guy gets to tee off on you, then it's your turn and he flinches, you absolutely get another slap. It is absolutely fair. Yes.
Okay. The second question, in case Max Holloway wins his fight against Topuria, shall we expect a 4th fight against Alex Volkanovski?
I don't know, sir. We're going to have to see how it plays off on Saturday and how it goes and who wins, and I don't know. I couldn't answer that question until it happens. I have no idea.
Okay, my last question.
Yep.
Most of the MMA fans dream about seeing a fight between John Jones and Francis Ngannou. What do we need to have in this world to make this happen?
I think fans are dreaming about John Jones and Tom Aspinall. That's the fight I think they're dreaming about.
Yes. Also.
I think that if Stipe wins the fight or John Jones wins the fight, the way that both of those guys are wired, I think they fight Aspinall. So we'll see.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Dana, right here. Just going back to the draws, the 2 fights that were a draw were the fights that this card was kind of billed as. Does that just even make it worse?
Well, yes. What's worse is those are the 2 fights everybody bet on. You know what I mean? So in Vegas, literally all up and down the strip, I don't think there's one casino that you can't bet on Power Slap. And then downtown, half of the downtown have the odds too. And the 2 fights that everybody's going to bet on was the main event and the Page fight. So, yeah, it's just everything about it sucks.
And then, given the sport is so new, we don't really have like other promotions for people to come over, like Michael Chandler, MVP, and Kayla Harris. Like Dumpling was kind of that first name that was famous outside of Power Slap that came in. And then obviously the Crazy Hawaiian was like established. He called himself the best Power Slap athlete of all time. Can you kind of compare this to maybe a moment in MMA that, like we don't cover Power Slap all the time, we cover MMA all the time. Is there an equivalent to
There are, though. There are other leagues out there, and more are popping up. Since we started this, 2 have popped up in Brazil since we started Power Slap. And when you think about it, I was literally just telling the story the other day. When we first bought the UFC, I was flying to Hawaii like twice a month and going to Northern California for shows. I mean, the only place they were holding events was that I could see was in Hawaii and Northern California. And the pool was not deep. But listen, there's money in this now. Guys are fucking slapping with Travis Scott's on now, for Christ's sakes. That shit didn't exist 18 months ago, you know what I mean? Most of these kids are buying houses, paying their cars off. There's money in it. So what you're going to start to see happen is, let's say you're a D1 college player and you didn't make it to the pros, or the list goes on and on of people who still want to compete athletically. There's money in this, and you're going to see people coming.
Would you recruit guys? Like the WWE sends recruiters to Division I schools and kind of scouts people like that. Is that something you would ever do?
It's sort of already happening. I mean, people, is Erica in here? Yeah, Erica is come here, Erica, step up here. So this is our matchmaker for Slap. And how many people reach out to you? I mean, you get thousands of people that are reaching out to her to Slap. So yeah, there's no shortage of people that want to get involved.
And then just last one for me, MMA related. I know we talked about like Don Davis and the numbers and everything, but just as like a fight fan, what did you make of Francis's performance, given everything that's happened to him in his career, the 2 losses in boxing, the loss of his son?
It was better than Don Davis's. Way better. Listen, man, I think that I'm going to tell you what I think about what Francis is all about the money. Francis left because he knew that if he fought John Jones and didn't win, it would hurt his chances of making the money that he wanted to make. But realistically, his deal was bigger here. His deal was bigger here if he stayed in the UFC. I think I've told this story a million times. They can deny it all they want. Why the fuck would I lie? What do I care? It doesn't matter to me one way or the other. I was going to cut Francis when he lost 2 in a row. I was going to cut him.
That was after the Derek Lewis
Yeah.
fight?
Somebody around here begged me not to do it. And, so it wouldn't have mattered to me one way or the other, There's a much deeper story to this whole thing, and he would have made more money if he stayed in the UFC. So he didn't want to fight John Jones. That's a fact, my friend. We're moving on. Obviously, everybody loves Tom Aspinall and wants to see Jones and Aspinall or Stipe and Aspinall. And I feel like when Stipe and John were young, John was 23, youngest champion ever in UFC history, and somebody gave him an opportunity. And I think that Stipe and John, whoever wins, should give Aspinall the same opportunity they had.
So all these rumors of John and Stipe both retiring, have you talked to them about that at all? Or you just hope?
Yeah, I think that both John and Stipe will say they're going to retire because they're going to start negotiating, and whatever the negotiation is, we will get the deal done.
Dana.
Yep.
On your left, right here.
Yep.
Right after the decision in the final fight, you spoke briefly to Dumpling through the translator. Can you tell us what did you guys talk about?
What did we what?
Right after we went and talked with Dumpling, what did you guys talk about?
Oh, Dumpling said, "Are you going to be around tomorrow?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Will I see you?" He said, "Yeah." He goes, "I got you a present." I said, "Oh, that's nice of you." That was the extent of our conversation through a translator.
Any plans to host the rematch in Abu Dhabi or in Saudi Arabia in the coming tournaments?
I don't know. Yeah, we gotta figure out how this is going to play out, and obviously we got some regs to fix when we get home. I don't know yet.
And I also wanted to ask you about the fighter who you brought up on the stage during the press conference. What is your plans for this guy?
Yeah, so I am going to do Looking for a Fight. It's a TV show that I do on YouTube with Matt Serra and Dean Thomas, and the Korean Zombie has his own fight league. He started his own promotion. So I'm going to go do an episode of that in December in Korea, and I'm gonna put that kid in the show, and we'll watch him fight. I'll pay for the fight. I'll let Mick or Sean make the opponent, and we'll give this guy a fight and see what happens.
And I also spoke to this fighter today, and he said he's willing to fight on this card if anyone pulls out. He fights in lightweight, and he said, I'm even willing to go down to featherweight. Would you consider bringing him up in here? No?
We'll see him in Korea. Yeah. I mean, if the kid wants to come in here, we're giving him an opportunity. He stood up on the mic today. He's getting the opportunity. Train. Let's get you an opponent. Train the right way. Fight. And see if you can make it into the show. This will basically be like a Contender Series fight, except in the Korean Zombies promotion in Korea.
All right, thank you so much. One more question here.
Yep.
Dana,
yeah.
One more question about John Jones. In your pound-for-pound list, he's number 1. So, but on the paper, it's Islam Makhachev number 1. What should Islam do or achieve to overcome John Jones in your pound-for-pound list?
Yeah, I understand. What should he do?
Yeah.
Just keep doing what he's doing. You just keep doing what you're doing. He hasn't done it as long as John Jones has, and he hasn't done it as consistently as Alex Pereira has. I mean, really, when you talk about pound for... Now, if you guys argued with me and said, we think you're wrong, we think Alex Pereira is number 1 and Jones is number 2, I could probably live with that. And I know it sounds like I'm shitting on him, but I don't. I love Islam. He's a great kid. He's a hard worker. He fights everybody. I'm just being honest.
It seems like...
And if you look at Pereira, he moved from middleweight to light heavyweight. and has been absolutely dominant, a weight division higher. And he's even considering going to heavyweight. So when you talk about what pound for pound really means.
Dana, можно вопрос?
It seems like Islam Makhachev will rematch Arman Tsarukyan in January. If it's so, considering the fact that their first fight was in Russia, and considering the fact that two Russian guys in the history of the UFC fighting for the belt, maybe you are considering to do a media tour in Russia. I just wonder.
Doing a media what in Russia? Media tour.
Yeah. Considering the fact that two Russian guys actually fighting for the UFC belt.
Yeah. Possibly.
Dana.
Да, еще один вопрос. Да. Дэна, я видел сегодня на вашем мероприятии был Абдурозик. Нету мысли сделать противостояние, которое никто не смог сделать. Абдурозик против Хазбуллы. Я думаю, те просмотры, о которых ты говорил в начале, они взлетят в космос, если этот матч состоится у вас.
I saw that Abdurozик was at your party. There was a match that was supposed to be made between Hezbollah and Abdurozik. Nobody was able to make that fight. Would you be the person that will be able to make this fight finally happen? Because the fans will absolutely lose their mind if that fight finally happens.
But do we really want to see those dudes fight? I mean, come on. Come on.
Just slap.
Huh?
Power slap.
You're all sick fucking individuals, okay? Every one of you in this room.
Dana.
No, sir. The answer is no. I would not make those guys fight.
Нет, они не будут биться.
Дэна, еще вопрос. Не боитесь ли вы то, что сегодняшняя ситуация с этим парнем из Таджикистана создаст прецедент, и в дальнейших турнирах также будут бойцы просить у вас поединки, потому что огромное количество людей смотрит и как бы тут, что называется, за слова притянули?
Are you afraid that what happened today with the Tajiki fighter will become a precedent and other guys will do the same thing? Now that you gave somebody a chance this way, will other people just say, oh, I can just show up, ask him for it, and he'll give me a chance?
That's my life. I mean, I run into people in the hallways, in the friggin' mall, you name it. If I'm anywhere in public, somebody grabs me and says they got a guy. And that's what we do for a living. That was just I mean, it's never happened before. I guess it has happened before. People have asked me, yes, it will happen again. I probably won't react the same way, or I might, I don't know.
Это вся моя жизнь, поверь мне, везде, куда я хожу, куда бы я ни заходил, всегда кто-то ко мне подходит, говорит, у меня есть кто-то, кого я знаю, кто очень хороший боец. Но, в принципе, да, оно произошло сегодня, может быть, это был какой-то момент, когда у него просто это получилось. Оно обязательно, по-моему, никогда этого не было еще до этого. А может быть и было, и, скорее всего, случится еще раз. Но как я отвечу, я не знаю, это зависит от ситуации.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Going back to what you just said about the pound for pound there, does Islam not get more credit for beating Charles Oliveira, who was number 3 pound for pound, and then Volkanovski, who was number 1 pound for pound at the time? Does that not put more weight? I don't think any of Alex's wins were against anyone ranked on that.
Any of Alex? Yeah, but he was fighting a guy a lower weight than him, not a guy higher weight than him. When you actually move up, when you think about what pound for pound means, right? What would happen if you weighed, 155 pounds and you faced a heavyweight, these guys are actually moving up in weight, not moving down in weight. And yes, Islam beat him in one of the fights. Many people thought that he didn't win that fight, with a guy who was lighter than him.
Islam seems to really want to go to welterweight, so would you give him that opportunity maybe if he gets through this next one?
Absolutely.
And going back
to... Yeah, listen, and let me just say, you don't need to defend it. I love Islam. I love the kid. And I'm not shitting on him. I'm just saying what the pound for pound really means is, if you look at what Alex has done. And again, John Jones, I mean, come on. John Jones is undefeated. He's never lost a fight in the octagon, ever. So it's just hard to fuck with.
Going back to the flinching thing, it seemed like the fouls were inconsistent, though. Like, I looked at some of the Paige Van Zandt slaps and she got hit, and they felt like flinches, and then you watch some in the later matches and they get called. Do you think that's a problem, the consistency of the flinching fouls?
Could not agree with you more. We were talking about that tonight. I'm like, that was a flinch, and we're looking around, and, here's the other thing. We're out of Nevada, too. You know what I mean? Really, Nevada has been sort of, the guys who have helped build the sport as far as the regulations and the rules. And we had a lot of guys here from Nevada, but we didn't at the same time. I don't disagree with you. Yeah.
Do you want Paige back?
Paige?
Yeah.
So after Paige's last fight, I met her out in the hallway. I was like, you did great. She goes, I want to fight in the next one. After tonight, she went back in her locker room, texted me immediately and said, I want to fight in the next one. So, yeah, I'll fight Paige as much as Paige wants to fight.
Gotcha. And two more things. Since we last spoke to you, there was preliminary approval of the antitrust suit. And I know you had said to Kevin Iole a few months ago that you were disappointed it didn't happen last time and wondering if there was a personal history. Are you pleased to see this decision?
Yeah, obviously, listen, this has been one of those things that I haven't dealt with at all. The lawyers deal with that. But yeah, of course, I'd love to see it settled. Yeah.
And you read some of the testimonials that were turned in from the fighters, like begging for this money and saying like what, you know, how bad they needed it. And, you know, you kind of think of just the sport as a whole and how it goes further on. Is there any way, I guess, the next generation of fighters can avoid being in these positions with, you know, health
No, I mean, if you think about back then, you know, if you look at some of these guys that are in this thing, some of them are when we were in the hole, however much money. And it's like the early days of baseball. Like the money that's being made now is much more than the money that was made then. 10 years from now will be the same as today. You know what I mean? There'll be more money then. It's just, and you can't control how people are going to spend their money. It happens in the NBA, it happens in the NFL, it happens in Major League Baseball, you know.
And just last thing, Merab Dvalishvili just tweeted to Sean O'Malley, see you in March.
Who did?
Merab.
Okay.
And, you know, we all thought it was going to be Umar, and there's rumors he might fight Song Yadong. Can you tell us what's going on? Is there a possibility for a rematch with Sean, or do you still want Umar and Merab?
I think that's them doing their own thing. We haven't made that decision yet.
Okay.
Yeah, that's them. That's him calling him out.
Yeah, previously you mentioned PFL, and I want to ask you a last question about PFL and Bellator. Actually, Bellator has a lightweight undefeated champ who is Umar's sibling, Usman Nurmagomedov, and Khabib's cousin, unbeaten guy. Maybe you guys interested in the future to sign him somehow? I don't know.
He's saying that they have...
In PFL and Bellator, there's you mentioned it earlier, PFL and Bellator. In Bellator, there's an undefeated champion. He's the cousin of Umar Nurmagomedov. His name is Usman Nurmagomedov. Okay. Are you ever interested in signing him?
I mean, all their good people want to be over here anyway, so I would imagine that eventually, yes, they will be here. Nobody wants to fight in the fucking PFL, except for Francis.
Please, last question, Dana.
Yeah.
Сегодня в сторис Дональд Трамп закинул Хамзата и сказал «great fighter». Не означает ли, что он будет поддерживать Хамзата в этом бою? И как ты думаешь, если он станет президентом, может решить он проблемы Хамзата с выездом в Америку?
So today, Donald Trump in his stories put up Hamzat and said, great fighter. So do you think he's going to be rooting for Hamzat in this fight? And if he becomes the next president of the United States, can you finally solve the visa problems with Hamzat?
Yeah, he hasn't had any real bad visa problems, Hamzat. We've had Hamzat in the States. I don't know what Hamzat was really talking about in that, but he was basically like, when Donald Trump wins his fight, I'll come fight. And I think that's what he said.
It was Trump who put Hamzat in and said, great fighter.
Huh?
Trump featured Hamzat in his story.
Yeah, so, but Hamzat had said that in an interview that he did with Kevin Iole, and then Trump retweeted it. Or did I? I don't know. No, I think Trump did, right? Yes. Trump retweeted it?
He posted it on
yeah, and then I retweeted Trump. I don't know. We all did some fucking tweeting, and anyway, Trump retweeted his thing, and I don't even know what the fuck your question was anymore. What's the question?
Will Trump support Hamzat in this fight?
I'm sure he will. I don't know who he's rooting for. I think he liked what he said. I don't think he's biased one way or the other for Whitaker or Hamzat. He thought it was nice of him to say, so he reposted it.
В общем, получается, что, во-первых, у Хамзата нету особых проблем с визой, да, потому что он был уже в Штатах, то есть то, что он там сказал в интервью, это не совсем понятно. Потом получилась куча всяких ответов насчет, кто кого ретвитал, кто в кого поставил в social media, но, скорее всего, Трамп будет, да, поддерживать, он просто поставил, потому что это был хороший жест. Я не думаю, что он будет поддерживать одного или того, но я думаю, что он просто надеется, что будет отличный бой с Витакером.
But Trump is a huge fight fan. I mean, he watches all the fights. He'll be watching on Saturday, and like we were talking about again, the co-main and main event are so good.
Трамп огромный фанат боев, он обязательно будет смотреть этот чемпионат, и главное событие — офигенный бой.
Have a good night, you guys. You got one? No? Have a good night, you guys. Thank you.